How are you?
Yeah.
How did it happen?
No, I'm great. No, I did follow you. I think there was a little delay or something.
Oh, okay. All right. Awesome. Awesome. So I'm super excited to have you join us, Katrina. Can I call you Kat? Katrina, what are we going for these
Yeah,
days?
go with Kat. I always
Kat.
thought
Okay.
it's Katrina Ruth is obviously my business name, but I still to this day when people go Katrina, I'm like, ooh, am I in trouble?
Yeah. Exactly. So I'll just do a quick introduction for those of us who are joining who might not have even known what the hell this series is all about. But basically, it's just I've been bringing amazing individuals who are doing extraordinary work in the world in their own unique ways, all together to contribute their perspective on COVID-19, on the pandemic, on the craziness, and just help us all to get out of the fear zone into the growth zone. And today we've got the amazing Katrina Ruth, or Kat, when she's not in trouble, who's a writer, speaker, digital entrepreneur, self-made multi-millionaire. And I'm really, really excited to bring your unique perspective, your unique energy, how you view the world, to really help each and every one of us out there just kind of focus and you know, keep going in an inspiring direction. So before we dive into all the questions, I want to start with asking you, what are you most grateful for in your life right now?
I'm so grateful for this quarantine time. And I hope that when I say that, it's pretty clear that I don't mean I'm grateful for the virus and all of that. I think people know what I mean by that. But truly, it feels like such a gift on an individual level. Like it's concerning and disturbing and some things that feel scary on a global level. But yeah, on a personal level, it's been such an amazing time as a mum. And also just, you know, for business, I just feel like, wow, what an incredible opportunity this has been, these weeks of being on quarantine, to just really highlight and notice ways in which life was pretty fast paced, which I don't mean it's a bad thing. I enjoy a fast paced life, but really noticing things, yeah, particularly as a mum, and then also my business too. I'm like, wow, there's a lot of kind of deeper habits as a mum that I am having brought to my attention during this time, where we get to go deeper on them and just instilling kind of different learnings and behaviors and things to do with being a great human, and to do with living life. And for business, it's just been amazing opportunity, amazing time to really just kind of get even greater level of clarity as well as action around things that we're doing behind the scenes in the business, and things that maybe we're getting pushed aside a little bit just in the kind of day-to-day of being out and about, living the, you know, the normal life. So certainly not saying that I want the quarantine and all of that to just keep going, but I do feel like it's been a tremendous gift, and I'm really grateful for, yeah, some lessons and learnings and just ideas that have come along during this time.
Absolutely. And I know you've got two beautiful kids at home. So are you homeschooling?
Well, I'm not, because I feel like I'm not concerned with following the homeschool curriculum. I really feel like, firstly, I always thought that I would homeschool my children anyway, and then I didn't end up doing that. Well, I didn't put my daughter in school right away when we were traveling and so on. And then eventually chose to put them in a school. I actually really love this school. They teach so much stuff that you wouldn't expect a school to normally teach. So it's really positive. But for this period, I'm like, you know what? Am I going to look back in 10 years or in 20 years and say, gee, I'm really so glad that I stressed all of us out worrying about following the homeschool curriculum to the letter, and oh, thank goodness. Or am I going to look back and say, wow, what an amazing time that was, of really just doing some different things together, having some different practices, even little projects and so on around the house, but also just things that I want to teach my kids that, yeah, as I said, felt like we're getting a little bit brushed over just in the normal helter-skelter of life and after school activities and sports and, you know, all the different things. So yeah, I don't think that even if they missed an entire term of schooling, that it would be to their detriment. In fact, I think it would actually be to their benefit. And it's really got me thinking, and I think a lot of parents, well, I know this because I posted on Facebook, a lot of parents who are entrepreneurs thinking about, would I actually send my children back? Will I send my children back afterwards? Now, my kids actually are going to school a couple of days a week, though, when they're with their father. So they live half with their father and half with me. So in that regard, yeah, they're getting like a little bit of all worlds. But on the times when they're at home with me, I'm like, no, I'm not fussed about following that curriculum.
I love that. Like, this is one of the things that I love about your energy, and really grateful that you wanted to come on board with this series, because your mindset and the way that you view the world is totally unconventional. And I know it was so many years ago that you and I remember coming and visiting you in the Gold Coast.
Yeah.
And I remember, you know, you only had Alyssa. You didn't have your young Nathan. Is that your youngest?
I think he was a baby, because you stayed at that apartment in Q1 with us, and yeah, Nathan was like a brand new baby then.
Oh, okay. He was really young. I remember Alyssa.
Yeah.
She was just absolutely
she would have been
gorgeous.
4, maybe 3 or 4. Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember you guys talking about like schooling them by all the travel that you do, like just taking them on. Now that's an education, taking them into different cultures, and really, really cool.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's still a huge part of me that feels like there would be so many benefits to not being in the school system. But unlike a lot of entrepreneurs, I'm not anti the school system in the extreme. I think there's some positives. I do think it's important to choose a school that aligns. Obviously, for you and I was very intentional about that, and I really actually love and appreciate our school a lot. So I'm certainly not going to sit here being like, you know, screw the school system. I think screw the system in general is like a big part of who I am. But I also think about it, I think it's with anything, whether business, parenting, anything, it's about having the discernment to know, you know, what, if anything, from this model over here is of benefit to me or my children or my family, and then which parts am I not on board with. So for example, with homework, I'm not on board with homework, and so I'm very straight up about that to the school. I'm just like, yeah, we're not going to be doing that, and here's my reasons why. Not in a defiant way. I'm not actually out there trying to stir shit up, contrary to what I think it sometimes comes across online, but just in a way of, here's my research and here's my beliefs and here's my reasons. So I appreciate you for this, and thank you, but no thank you on this bit, which is kind of how I am with all parts of marketing and business and life in general.
I love that. And it's a really good segue into getting your perspective on this whole pandemic, you know, like the whole lockdown or the pandemic sweeping the globe. I'd love to hear, you know, through your lens of the world, like, how are you viewing what's going on, other than all the grateful things that you're grateful for with quarantine and all the fun stuff, but like on the flip side of that, like looking on the global perspective, how are you viewing the pandemic?
I mean, I've had a lot of thoughts that are like, my mind's gone here, there, and everywhere on this stuff, and I guess I've at times been too caught up in going into the rabbit hole of different conspiracy theories and that sort of thing. I certainly think it's not as simple as what it's being presented to us. I mean, my feeling is that it's wildly blown out of proportion. I do think there's a lot of agenda at play that we don't know about and we'll never know about. But I also think that is true at any point in time. And so in some regards, I don't feel like this is grossly different than anything else. I kind of feel like, sure, there's things that we don't know that go on behind the scenes in government or in authority or in whatever. And sure, there's more to the story than what's being presented through Fox News or CNN or whatever, like, of course. But if anyone thought that was brand new revolutionary information, then I think they're having a bit of a wake-up call about how life works anyhow. So I actually just kind of feel like, and this is one of my favorite, I guess, belief systems or expressions, it is what it is, and that's all it is. Like, it's not to my benefit, or I don't believe it's to anyone's benefit to be worrying about trying to figure out all the ins and outs of what's really going on, or this or that or the other thing. And I see a lot of talk like that. I think, as with anything, now is always a great opportunity to go deeper into what are your values, what are your beliefs, what is the way you want to show up in the world, and how do you know you're meant to be doing business in life, and that's just, that's true regardless of circumstance. So at the moment, circumstance in life for all of us, really, or most of us, is different to what we're used to, and we're having to adjust to, you know, some changes. but it's kind of like, that's part of life anyway. Okay, this feels like an extreme different thing in a lot of ways, I suppose. But to me, it's just on with the show. No matter what, the show goes on, and the show in this regard is you being connected to God, soul, purpose, or whatever it is that you want to be connected to, and then showing up from that place. And I think probably the biggest, I guess, lesson or learning, or the biggest belief I have relevant to the pandemic, is that it's such a great opportunity for everybody to really notice whether or not they have their core, whether or not they're solid and certain in who they are internally. Because if you don't have your core, if you don't know who you are and you're not grounded in who you are, then you're just going to be knocked here, there, and everywhere at anything, really. And so something bigger like this is maybe going to knock you around even bigger, and it's going to feel super dramatic and terrifying. And, you know, even if there's all sorts of things that are true that are going to completely change the way that life is, it still is what it is, and that's all it is. And I don't mean that to be kind of like, la-di-da, I don't care. I mean it more from a place of the circumstance of how life is, or kind of like the changing of the seasons, so to speak. It's like the ocean. Some days it's going to be stormy and crazy and messy, and other days it's going to be calm. And you can't go out there and be like, well, this is ridiculous and scary and terrifying because the ocean is all over the place, and maybe this is going to happen, and maybe that. It's like, yeah, it just is what it is. So adapt and roll with it, and show up how you need to show up in this circumstance. I don't know if that made any sense, but my main point is
totally,
you have to come from groundedness and from core no matter what.
Yeah, and I love that. And I think that you're spot on, because if you don't have that connection to self, which is kind of leading into the next question I want to ask you about, then what are you doing? Like, whose life are you creating? From what are you doing it for if you're not in alignment with your values and what matters and where you're going and what you want? And so,
well, you're being reactive. I mean, you're either creating intentionally and purposely from what's inside of you, and of course things are going to happen that will temporarily knock you or throw you off base or whatever. But yeah, it kind of is a great reminder and opportunity to go, okay, well, where's my core? Where's my base? What am I going to be grounded in? Where do I get my peace and certainty from? Because, if all of a sudden I'm noticing that I feel like my peace and certainty is gone and I'm knocked around and I'm scared, then I guess I didn't have peace and certainty coming from internally. I had it dependent on circumstance. So let's be really glad for that wake-up call, right?
Oh, boom. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's how I'm kind of viewing. That's the benefit that I'm seeing. It's kind of this huge wake-up call where all our external, things that we can distract ourselves with are kind of cut off. And it's like, okay, it's the wake-up call. Like, how much are you in control of your life? Like, and how are you showing up? So my next question for you is around that concept of connection. And I love that you brought up, that connection to whatever that is, to God, to soul, to universe, whatever it is, but being in alignment with yourself. And I wondered if you could share one of your best strategies, or what you do for yourself, or what you recommend for your clients in order to gain that internal connection and create internal stability while we've got external chaos.
Yeah, for me it is around having, I do have a pretty strong daily practice to do with connecting to God, as well as connecting to soul, intuition, my own inner wisdom, whatever you want to call it. And so it's very simple. I mean, it's really just how I start my day. I don't get up and start checking my emails and all my notifications and that sort of thing. I might check in with a couple of really key, close, important people in my life. But mainly I take that first part of the day for coffee. For coffee, but when I'm having my coffee, I would be maybe reading something. Like, I might read a little Bible study, or I'll read a blog or a chapter out of a book that inspires me, or whatever it might be, just something that's feeding my mind. And then I'll usually, sometimes sit up on my balcony looking at the beautiful nature and the water and so on, and just kind of think and daydream a bit, and then I'll journal usually. So have a journaling practice. And that's typically how I start my days. And it might only be a few minutes, or sometimes it's longer, but really just kind of claiming what I want to know and remember and remind myself of. And I find that practice, which can be anywhere from 10 minutes total to up to an hour or even longer if I'm really in a daydreaming mode, that practice to me is about setting the internal compass, that internal navigation system, to kind of go, hey, let's remember what my beliefs are, what my values are, what it's all about, and where it is I'm actually wanting to go. And I certainly don't mean I'm sitting there listing out all those different things, but just kind of connecting in and dropping in, so that then when I go into the busy day, which is going to be like a crazy mix of business stuff and creating stuff and different other side projects and clients and kids and fitness and whatever else I'll just mix through, that it's grounded in the right place. So that to me makes a huge difference. And having that practice is something which has actually really trained and conditioned my mind over time, to where even throughout the day, I'm kind of continually reconnecting back to God, soul, higher purpose, whatever you want to call it. And I will also mention though, around practices and routines, I also feel strongly about not getting really kind of like attached to the routine and feeling like I have to journal or I have to do this or else, because then it starts to go into this energy that's a bit, it's not coming from an expansive place. It's coming actually more from a fear place that if I don't do this exact thing, then I'm not accessing soul, or then I'm not going to stay fit, or whatever it might be. So being able to roll with it a little bit as well.
Oh, that's awesome. And I had to laugh when you mentioned starting your day with coffee, because I just quit coffee. And the reason why I did it was because I love coffee. And when you said it, I was like, don't talk about coffee, because I decided...
I'm not drinking coffee.
Oh, no, you're not. You're drinking...
No, I'm not. I'm drinking BCAAs.
Oh, okay, good.
In my Hermes coffee cup. So that I look fancy. So that I'm not sitting here with the actual BCAAs. There you go. I'm giving away my interview secrets. I always have my Hermes coffee cup when I'm on an interview, but it's usually got BCAAs in it.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm glad to know it's BCAA. But, you know, speaking of having those, the external world determine like how we're feeling in our life, you know, I stopped having coffee for a day and I had the worst withdrawal symptoms, and I was just like, no way, that's it. I'm not going to have any coffee.
Yeah.
That's what it's doing to me. And so right now I'm on a juice cleanse. It's a smoothie actually, but it's just like a crazy thing for the next week to just get rid of the caffeine, so that I can show up and be more present, be more connected to who I am. But you know, that's not for everybody, and I never guessed I'd quit it, but you know, I'm on the journey.
I have zero interest in quitting coffee.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Save yourself the trouble.
For me, I think like connectedness to whatever we needed to be connected to just comes down to choice. And it's kind of like anything. You'll get the outcome you get if you decide. You'll get whatever you decide to get. Yeah,
absolutely. All right, my next question for you is all around the concept of clarity. So during this time, and I guess you've kind of mentioned it in your ability to connect with yourself, and you do those practices to get that clarity over, you know, what, like your higher purpose, what you're looking to do, that inner wisdom. And so what I want to ask you is if you have maybe a question that we could all be asking and answering for ourselves that would allow all of us to be more connected, having a connection to something that's pulling us through this time, so that we can have that clarity over what we're inspired by. A question that might pop up for you.
Yeah, so one thing that I like to ask myself frequently is, what would I be doing in this moment if I fully trusted? So if I were fully coming from trust or faith, then what would my move be in this moment? And I mean, you can reword that in lots of different ways. Like, who would I be right now if I were fully backing myself, or if I knew that, you know, whatever I feel inside of me is right, then what would my next move be? So I'll give you a few different questions here. And another favorite is, what is this moment for right here? Like, I truly believe that the pathway to create success with money, with business, and this is how I've built my business, and it's really how I do everything, is to really be connected into, well, what is this moment for right here, rather than, oh, I want to get that outcome, so therefore I need to do this, and this. It's kind of like, well, based on what though? Are you basing that on somebody else's system? Are you basing it on your own past experience? What are you basing it on? Because to me, I feel like, of course, those things contribute and we learn from those things, but really where action needs to come from, I believe, is from soul and from that deep inner guidance. And if you're not willing to trust in that and back that, cool. Then you might create a nice replica of somebody else's pathway, or you might just keep repeat creating what you already created, but it's unlikely that you'll bring something extraordinary from within to life. So I think the question around trust or faith, or what would I be doing in this moment if I was fully unapologetically being me, that's a powerful one.
Oh my gosh, I love that. And, you know, I love how you said that action from the soul. You know, I can definitely attest to that in my own business and everything that I create. I know the difference between when I've just got to I'm pushing something out there versus when it's really taken the time to connect with you know, what you're inspired by, and taking that action from that inner wisdom rather than recreating the external world to get some result that, you know, who told you wanted that, you know?
Yeah, totally. And it really just comes down to being willing to trust.
Absolutely. All right. And I have a question around challenge for you, because I know a lot of people can just, like, you know, just sit on the couch, not do much, get caught up in Netflix, not really test or challenge themselves at all right now. And so I wondered if you had something, just like a challenge that each and every one of us could do today that would allow us to, you know, really expand during this time.
I think it does come back to this thing about trust, and I guess it's also about being honest with yourself about what you know you need to do. Like yesterday, I sat here in my office at I think like 11 a.m. and I just suddenly felt super tired and not motivated. And I'd already done quite a few things at that point by 11, been up early and all. But I was like, oh, maybe I'm going to go take a nap. And I'm certainly not against taking naps. I'm very pro taking naps. But I just kind of paused and tuned in. And this is what I teach my clients to do, like to have that discernment to go, is this moment for having a nap? Because that's fine. If it is, that's okay. That's allowed. Or what would the future me look back, like future me even from 2 hours from now? What does she have to say about it? What are the actions that she would take? So I don't think I can sit here and say, oh, everybody should have a journaling practice, or make sure you do 20 minutes of physical exercise in quarantine, or whatever. It's like, you know, you can read that stuff all over the internet. It's freaking obvious. But really what I believe each person should be doing is having the honesty and accountability to self, that when you don't feel like taking action, or when you are on the couch and you're scrolling like you're looking for the meaning of life on Facebook, or you're just endlessly on Netflix or whatever, eating all the Doritos, that you can actually kind of pull yourself up and be like, okay, let's get honest here. Who am I meant to be being that I'm not being right now in this moment? And if you want to kind of break it down and have it in a little practical kind of action step, then maybe what are like 3 things that I could do today that I'm just going to commit 20 minutes to, that I know if I was consistently doing that thing every day, day in and day out, then over time it's going to dramatically move the needle in an area that matters to me. So let me be honest with myself, and let me just take that first step. And one thing that I have done off and on over the years, for years now, when I don't feel like doing something, is I'll truly just put the timer on the laptop for like 20 or 25 minutes and be like, okay, well, even if I feel so overwhelmed by the vastness of this project or task or whatever it might be, or I just really don't feel like it and I'm not feeling motivated, well, I'm just going to do 20 minutes. So yesterday, when I felt that way, I was like, you can go take a nap, Kat. You're allowed to take a nap anytime you want, right?
Yeah.
Or why don't you just do 20 minutes on this thing to do with your sales funnels and then have your nap? So I did the 20 minutes. And I was like, oh, maybe real quick, I'll just help my team out with what they're doing. Oh, maybe I'll just do this. And next thing, like, it was 4 o'clock. And then I did have a 20-minute nap at 4 o'clock and I felt great about it. But meanwhile, I just easily moved through on a ton of stuff that actually, you know, is in accordance with me living in alignment with my values and being who I'm meant to be. So I don't think it's ever about certain tasks for anyone. I think it's more so about if you have the fundamentals in place that you choose to live your life from self-honesty, accountability, and kind of stepping outside of yourself to say, what does the next level me have to say about this? Or what does even the me from this evening have to say about it? What action would she need to take to be able to go to bed at night and feel proud of herself and know that she's moving forward? That gives you access to, the steps that you should take.
Boom. Oh my gosh, I love that. And as you were talking into that, because that self-honesty and also not avoiding, like looking at what you're avoiding I think is really, really key in what you're saying. And I was just listening to a really great podcast with, it was the Under Your Skin with Russell Brand and with Jordan Peterson. And one thing Jordan Peterson said, which is very much in alignment with that, is he said, that which you most need, that which you most need will be found where you least want to look. And I think, you know, what you're saying there is to just take a moment right now to just be honest with yourself. Like, what are you avoiding? Like,
totally.
I
think also that avoiding things is one of the best ways to drain your energy. You know, so many people feel tired and unmotivated all the time. It's not because they need more rest. It's because they need to wake the fuck up and live properly. Like, they actually are tired and unmotivated and feeling flat because of not taking action. You know, and I'm not trying to suggest that we should live a life of all hustle and no relaxation or play or whatever, because no, like, I have plenty of time for relaxation and play, and I always get enough sleep. And yeah, I'm 100% on board with taking care of yourself, totally. But truly, I think we, you know, largely have a lazy society. People don't know how to handle life anymore. And a lot of times people think that when they feel tired or flat or unmotivated, that they need more rest, more coddling, have a blankie, have a pat on the head. And it's like, okay, that's nice. I like someone to stroke my head too. Why not? But really, most people are not pressing play. They're not taking the action that they're meant to be taking.
Absolutely. And I mean, you've only got so much energy. You can use it to avoid stuff and try and forget about it, or you can direct it, like you're saying, to...
Well, you also create energy, as you know, from obviously living purposely. Just like fitness creates energy. I mean, of course it takes energy, but it also gives you back so much in return. And that's the same with living in alignment and doing things that you're meant to be doing. So yeah, for anyone who's finding that they're really struggling with energy or motivation during this time, I guarantee you would find energy by kicking your own butt and starting to take some steps towards being consistent with action in areas that you know you've been avoiding.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. Cool. So I know we've only got a shorter interview with you today, so I want to be respectful of your time. But I know we also got a few comments, so I wanted to just quickly track back in there. And while I'm doing that, would you mind sharing with everybody where they can find out more about you and get in connection with some of the work that you're doing, and tell people a bit about what's going on your plate right now?
Yeah, I just have to reply to this comment from Vanessa as well about she says, I need my blankie, but I need a kick in the butt, because I want to show you that I always have my blankie with me. I'm always sitting on my pink fluffy blankie. I've got my like cool badass chair here, but I get my blankie and I've got my like pink fluffy slippers on. So you can have it all. You can have your blankie and you can do the damn work that you're meant to do. And then, yeah, you have your naps and all that stuff as well. But anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. So how you can find me, I'm pretty easy to find on Instagram. Well, here I am, obviously, on Instagram under the Katrina Ruth Show. And you can find me and connect with me quite easily on Facebook as well, on my business page or my personal page. They're both called Katrina Ruth. I'm very accessible. I do have a huge online following, but I love to be in the conversation. You know, send me a DM, say hi, and likely you'll hear back from me. And then you can also go to my website, which is thekatrinaruthshow.com, and it definitely needs a bit of an overhaul, but you'll find my free video series there, which you can subscribe for, and it's called Everything You Know About Success is Wrong. It's a 4-part free video series, which, yeah, will either terrify and horrify you, or you'll get immense value out of it. The right people who are meant to hear from me will get immense value out of it, and a little bit of madness and crazy as well. So those are a few ways to connect.
Awesome. I'll have that linked up with the recording that'll go across the platform. So that will be awesome. And the Pursuit of Excellence says, I do the same thing, Kat. Sometimes I nap, sometimes I don't for weeks. All depends on what I need. So yeah, cool. And also said, Kat, do you believe your values change, or your values are your values?
No, you can choose values to match your outcomes. I mean, I believe that we kind of come pre-packaged, so to speak, which sounds funny, but you know what I mean, with some values that are really just core to who we are and inherent to who we are. And I think that each human probably has values that last throughout life and don't change. But having said that, I think absolutely your values can change, or more likely what happens along the journey of like waking up essentially and becoming a conscious human. You know, and I know you know what I mean by that, obviously. Most people are conscious in a physical sense, but along that journey, more so we uncover our deeper values and ways where we've not been true to ourselves, or where we've kind of pretended that something was okay when it wasn't. And so it's a continual journey of connecting deeper into who we always were. And that's been my bio for years. You know, when I say like what I do, I help you remember who you always were and then become it. And so I think that's what it's about.
I love that. It's more of an unveiling, you know, of all the masks and all the stuff that we put on it. And that's not our...
But I mean, I think we can also go, okay, I want this outcome. What would the values be that would match that? But I still feel like, well, so long as those are kind of like your truest, deepest values anyway, like you're not just going to take on board a bunch of values to get an outcome if the values don't actually align for you. So in the end, it does come down to alignment.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, perfect. Awesome. And yeah, I'm just seeing Vanessa's comment there about the blankie. I'm actually the same. I've got my blankie and I've got my slippers on. And
it's so funny. So badasses of the internet. We just look at like, this mode from here up, and then the blankie and the slippers from the waist down.
Usually I have my PJ pants on as well, but I don't today. So
I frequently do. Yeah.
I love it. So good. Well, Kat, it's been so awesome to get to connect with you and to get to share you with my audience. This will go across Facebook and podcast and all sorts of things, YouTube and stuff. So looking forward for more people to listen to this conversation. And I wondered if you had any final thoughts that you wanted to leave everybody with today.
So I think the big final thing that I would want to say to you, or the big takeaway, has to be go all in faster on being you.
That's perfect. I love that. And I just want to honor you and acknowledge you, Kat, for the work that you do and for your ability to just show up unapologetically. I think the world needs more of that. And so thanks for being a great role model and walking your talk with all that you do. You're greatly appreciated, and look forward to connecting again sometime soon.
Thanks, Vanessa. Thank you for having me. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Yeah, thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.